Hi, I'm Taryn, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Orphan's Wish by Melanie Dickerson. The Orphan's Wish is a retelling of the story of Aladdin, and it is set in the medieval Germany world that Melanie Dickerson has created in her Hagenheim series. For those of you who aren't familiar with Melanie Dickerson and her Hagenheim series, she does fairy tale retellings that are set in medieval Germany. They don't have any magic in them, so that's one of the fun things that she does in each of her books is take the stories that normally have a fairy godmother or a genie and then place them in the real world in medieval times. I picked up this book because I'm a fan of Melanie Dickerson. I've read all of her now 13 books, and this time around I was lucky enough to be chosen to be on the launch team, and so I got to read this ahead of its June 26th release date. What I liked about this book is, as I mentioned before, I really enjoy Melanie Dickerson's books and this world that she has created where it feels realistic to an extent that it could have happened in medieval Germany, but you also have Cinderella and Snow White and Aurora and Jasmine and Rapunzel are now all part of the same family, but with their own very distinct stories. And I do always like to see how Melanie Dickerson takes this existing story and then makes it her own and puts it into this world that she has created. The what I didn't like segment of these videos is always the hardest for me to do, and this one was extra hard because I've loved all the other books in this series and I really wanted to love this book as well, and I just didn't. There were just a couple things that really just pulled me out of the story, or that I just disliked about the way that the story unfolded. So one of those was the dialogue specifically felt pretty flat and unimaginative, specifically at the beginning of the book. So I really thought that maybe the characters were younger, and so it's just a little bit younger and a little more we're just kind of stating the obvious at the beginning, and I thought maybe it would pick up a little bit as the book went on, but it really didn't. I also just wasn't a huge fan of how the story unfolded, or how the relationship between the two main characters unfolded. It was not linear. The story was going along, and then something would happen that would like trigger a flashback, and so then they'd remember this thing that happened between the two of them years ago and when they were talking about their friendship, and then it would jump back to the present time. I understand that that's just a storytelling decision, and it works for some people. It just didn't work for me very well. The other thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is, while this book was, supposed to be a retelling of Aladdin, there didn't seem to be much Aladdin elements in the story. You had Aladdin, you had Abu, you had that Aladdin was once called a street rat and was basically like blackmailed into Oliver Twist kind of stealing, and then was rescued out of it, and then that was it. There was no more stealing, there was no more being a thief. There's no genie because there's no magic, but there wasn't even, unless I missed it, unless it was so subtle that I missed it, there wasn't even anything really related to 3 wishes or someone granting wishes. I mean, he did have the wish to become respected and to be wealthy so that he could, marry the daughter of a lord, but that was really about it. Unfortunately, this was a liked it for me, not a loved it. As for who I would recommend this book to, if you've read Melanie Dickerson's books, I definitely think you should read The Orphan's Wish. And I'm super curious to hear what your thoughts are on it, if you did like it like me, or if you loved it. If you haven't read any of her books, I definitely would not start with this one. One, I just don't think it's the strongest of all of them, but also part of the fun and the charm of all of these books is how they build on each other. So go back to the beginning, read The Healer's Apprentice or The Merchant's Daughter, and then read along in the whole series. And then when you get to this book, definitely read it and let me know what you think. And that is my review for The Orphan's Wish by Melanie Dickerson. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you have any genres that you'd like to be reading more of, or any ideas of books that you're curious of hearing my thoughts on, definitely please leave those below as well so I can get some ideas for future reviews. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can see those future reviews, and I'll see you next time.